Hi my friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm really excited to be sharing this video with you because this has been something that's been ongoing for quite a long time now, and I just am really pleased to be able to sit down, share it with you and talk about how I want to move forward in the future. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in hearing, then please just keep on watching. So as you can tell from the title of this video, I've recently been diagnosed provisionally by a consultant psychiatrist as autistic at the ripe old age of 31. So to give you a bit of a backstory about how this has come about, and I'll try and make it quite brief. Several years ago, I thought that maybe I might be autistic. And I went about trying to get a diagnosis on the NHS, but my GP referred me over for an assessment. But I pretty much got blocked at that point because the NHS autism services were not willing to even see me, let alone assess me. So that was one hurdle. And then the other hurdle was simply that I had felt by a few people around me in my life had just kind of invalidated the things that I was saying that were difficult. So at that point I just decided to abandon the idea basically, and thought I'd never be told whether or not I am autistic. I'm always going to experience the world differently, well, it feels like very differently from other people. I'm always going to struggle with that. However, in recent months I've had a lot of trouble with anxiety. It's been quite a difficult few months, and as part of the ongoing help that I've been having from my GP, she referred me to community mental health services to have a consultation with the consultant psychiatrist. Whilst I was waiting for that appointment, I revisited the idea that maybe I might be autistic again, and I watched loads of TikToks from awesome people, and I watched YouTube videos, and I read books, and I relate to so much of the stuff that I'm looking at, and I'm thinking I need to know the answer to this question. Like, I need to feel validated, because I can't keep going on experiencing the world differently and not understanding why and how to manage that. So I set out about writing a huge list of things from childhood, things from teenage years, things that I struggle now with in my adult life. I wrote it all down, and I went to seek out a private assessment, completely ready to spend £1,500 on this assessment and possibly diagnosis. I'd even filled out forms and been offered an appointment and was completely ready. So the time came around for my appointment, and I asked him this question, and he said to me, I can answer that question for you, but let's have a chat first, and then I will answer your question later on in the appointment. And I was like, okay, fine, that's fine. So we went through a bunch of stuff, and he asked me questions about things that I find difficult, such as social interactions, sensory issues, understanding humour, and all sorts of stuff like that. At the end, he was basically like, well, don't waste your money on an autism diagnosis. I'm happy to give you a provisional diagnosis based on what I've seen from you today, the way you answered my questions very literally, your body language, your facial expressions. I'm pretty certain that if you went through this process of getting assessed and diagnosed, they would tell you that you are autistic. So basically what he said was, I would advise you not to waste your money on that. If you want to spend any money anywhere, I would advise you to see someone about how to manage this in your life. I just got this provisional diagnosis there and then, which was amazing. I was so relieved. I was so relieved at the end of the appointment. I finally felt like there was a reason why I am the way that I am. A little bit weird, a little bit awkward. Everything's loud, everything's uncomfortable, and now I understand why. So now that I have this provisional diagnosis, I'm definitely not going to bother seeking out a private assessment at all. I feel completely validated by what the psychiatrist has told me already, which is great. Not only that, but this all happened on Autistic Pride Day, which was the 18th of June. Hooray! some things that have happened since I came out to my friends and family, which I was really nervous about actually. It turned out to be a really good decision. I received a lot of support and nice comments and things on social media about it. I will show you what I posted. All I did was post this picture on my social media. It's a picture of a chameleon, and it says, "Chameleon was tired of changing himself to fit in. I don't want to hide anymore," he yelled. So he turned his camouflage off and suddenly shone the most bright, vibrant, dazzling, magic colours the world had ever seen. So I posted that just so that I'd been diagnosed on Autistic Pride Day, and now I can finally be myself. So the other thing I've decided is that it's just time to talk openly and honestly about being autistic and how it affects me and what it means to me and to other people on the spectrum as well. I think it's really important that we just try and normalise this neurodivergency that exists and learn how we can accommodate it in our lives. I feel quite proud to say that I'm autistic now. Slowly, I'm beginning to unmask, which when you've done that for 31 years is quite hard to do. But slowly, I think we'll get there. It's a very difficult one to do. I thought that the mask would just come off and I could just be my normal but also awkward self, but that hasn't really been the case. I think it's going to be more of an ongoing, slower process as I learn more about myself. I'm trying to accommodate my sensory needs much more, which I had not done for years because I felt like I couldn't do that. I think it led to a massive burnout basically. So now I am embracing stimming and my sensory needs by wearing clothes that I feel more comfortable in. I have an awesome collection of fidget toys which I play with every day now, and I even carry around with me, which is awesome. I wear my headphones when I want to, so I am accommodating my needs much more, which leads on to my next point, which is work life. With work, I actually ended up emailing my boss, and I was kind of apprehensive about doing this because when I'd spoken to her on the phone, she didn't really seem to have much of a grasp about what being autistic actually meant. She was sympathetic, but I could tell she needed more information. So when I emailed her about what would help me get by at work, I started the email by explaining some of the things that I found difficult, only things that were relevant to work life, such as masking and how tiring that can be, noise in my work, also asking for written information if there were instructions for me to do something, to write that down. So I kind of explained some of the difficulties that I had to start with in the email, and then I just went on to talk about some of the things that they could do for me that would be beneficial, such as allowing me to work in quieter environments, to understand that I do get quite tired out easily because of masking. I tried to keep it work relevant as much as possible because it's very easy to go into a long-winded thing about your life and then you're like, why did I share all that information? It's kind of what I'm doing now really, but anyway, I'm trying much more to care less about what people think of me. I need to stop worrying about what someone's gonna think if I stim in public or if I want to stare at the floor when someone is talking to me. I need to care less about that, and so I'm really working on that. And then finally, I think I'm just learning how to use my energy properly. As I said, it can be quite tiring to pretend to be a normal person when you are not feeling like when I say normal, a normal person, and your brain works in a different way to other people. It can be really exhausting, and also sensory wise, if you're out and about wearing things that are uncomfortable, you're in a loud busy environment, that can be exhausting. And taking all of the stuff that I've already mentioned and learning more about how to use my energy properly, I think that it's going to allow me to live a much more fulfilling life. Finally, I just want to talk about how I plan to move forward with life, knowing now that I am autistic. And as I already said, I do intend to try my best to live life fully whilst also catering to the things that I need in life. I want to talk openly about being autistic and what it means, especially for AFAB people on the spectrum. It can be a really rough ride and very difficult. Often we are not diagnosed until we reach crisis point, which is kind of what had ended up happening to me, and I think that's really unfair. So I think we need to talk more openly about being autistic, share experiences, educate and inform the people around us to make life a lot more easy. I'll be supporting autism acceptance, not autism awareness, because we're all aware that autism exists, but autism acceptance is hugely important to me, and I'm going to be talking way more about that in the future. I'm going to be talking very openly about mental health issues, and I also just want to make some friends with autistic people. I am friends with like neurotypical people, and I'm just always feeling like the weirdo, the oddball, the one that shares too much information and says things and never understands the joke. Yeah, I want to meet more autistic people, get to know more autistic people so that we can all support each other. We need to be seen and heard as autistic people. So if you agree with some of the things that I've said today, then please subscribe to my channel because I'd be really grateful. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. It really helps me out. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and taking the time to listen to my story. I really appreciate it, and I will speak to you very soon.